Hi, I'm astrologer and life coach Penny Dix. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, a special welcome to you. I'd love it if you could subscribe. That would be super cool. I've come here today to look at the astrology for the country of Ukraine. I'm going to look at their birth chart. I'm going to look at the date of the invasion and how that links in with their natal birth chart. I'm also going to look at the birth chart of Volodymyr Zelenskyy, because this man is becoming a symbol of hope for humanity. Now, interestingly, when I did my overview for 2022, and I talked about the energy of the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in Pisces, which is coming up in April around the 11th, 12th. Now we're already in that energy. And I talked about that there could be the emergence of a kind of spiritual messiah, a spiritual leader. And I'm certainly not suggesting that Volodymyr Zelenskyy is a messiah in that sense, but he is, I believe, creating the energy for the faith and belief in him that because he is following truth and what is right, that he will gain this kind of Jupiter-Neptune sort of level of quite amazing significance in history. But let's just come down to basics, because first of all, I just want to talk about, I also want to look at Putin's chart, because I think it's important to see all the different pieces of the jigsaw in this particular very difficult situation. Now, as I said, I looked at Putin's chart in detail in my video about the US Pluto return, where I also look at Joe Biden's chart. So I'll just refresh your minds, your memories on what Putin is about astrologically. He's actually a Libran, and his moon is in Gemini, and his ascendant is in Scorpio. So as a Libran, he's ultimately about fair play. His Gemini moon suggests he gives deep thought before making a decision, but with this Scorpio ascendant. And we have to remember that Pluto, the planet of transformation, death and rebirth, rules Scorpio. So he has the capacity to play the part of the ruler of hell, and will always want to have the last word, even if it brings him down too. I'm not going to spend a lot of time, as I say, looking at his chart, because I did look at it in quite detail in my other video, and I'll pop a link to it with this video. But let's also look at Volodymyr, because there are some interesting kind of astrological connections between Volodymyr's chart, Putin's chart. There's also connections for Volodymyr with their national chart, and I'm just going to kind of unpack this. So let's have a look at Volodymyr first, because he's a Sun Aquarius. And I think this is all about how he has this ability to speak for the people. Aquarius is about the collective. It's about unity. It's about higher consciousness. Now, his moon is in Leo, and his birth time makes him a Gemini ascendant. Now, do you remember I said that Putin has a Gemini moon? That's just interesting. So we're getting some kind of overlapping here. So they should communicate. It would really be helpful if they communicated. But let's just look at this. Sun Aquarius, moon in Leo, Gemini ascendant. What does this tell us about this extraordinary man? Well, as an Aquarius, he is a visionary. He's a spokesperson for his people. He's passionate and always has been about his vision for the future of Ukraine. Now, with a Gemini Ascendant, it does give him the ability to communicate his thoughts powerfully. He can think things through. He can rationalize. And he also will have the gift of eloquence in the way he delivers what needs to be said. The Leo moon, Leo, remember, is a fire sign. It's fixed, as is Aquarius. Gemini, on the other hand, is sort of mutable. So he's got an interesting, he's fixed. He's not going to budge. But this Leo moon emphasizes his passionate sense of responsibility for the people of Ukraine. And we're certainly seeing how he is defending his people ferociously and with complete dedication and conviction. The Leo moon also, of course, gives him this ability to perform. So we can easily see why he was an entertainer before he entered politics. So he's also got his natal sun in Aquarius and Venus conjunct. They're exactly conjunct at 5 degrees of Aquarius, which is also the mid-heaven of his chart. Now, the mid-heaven of a chart is our direction in life. It's where we're going. So Venus makes him an attractive person to follow. Venus makes him someone who can be listened to. And with this configuration, we can see his determination and belief that he was born to create a better world full of foresight and insight. And as a leader, he will attract followers. We can see it clearly in the support that he's mustering. Now, another super part of his chart is he's got Jupiter, our planet of luck, opportunity, expansion, truth, law, and it's on his ascendant. The ascendant is how he comes across in life, how we will experience him. So it shows us that we're dealing with this larger-than-life personality. So as I said earlier, it's no wonder that he was on the stage. And his Leo moon, as I said, underlines his desire to entertain people. The Leo moon makes him charismatic. And he will have plenty of rabbits to pull out of the proverbial hat that will surprise people. This man should not be underestimated. That's what I pick up from his chart. I wouldn't mess with him. That might be, or might have been already, the first mistake by Putin. Let's look now at the invasion chart with Zelensky's chart. So the invasion actually happened on February the 24th, 2022, and it was at approximately between 4 and 5 a.m. local time to Kiev. So let me see, here I am. Okay, so we'll look at the chart with Zelensky's chart to see how he will fare. And the first thing that strikes me, with the Aquarius at the midheaven, both transiting Saturn and Mercury are conjunct the midheaven in Aquarius. What does this tell us? Saturn is a planet about restriction, it's about time, it's about taking things slowly, it's about rules, and it's about endings. That can be another sign of Saturn. But what it tells us, I think, in this position is that this whole situation, sadly, is a thing of time. It is going to take quite a long time. None of us want to hear it. I don't want to hear that, and I know you don't, but I think it is going to take time. Now, because Saturn is conjunct Mercury, there aren't any quick solutions, but Mercury implies the need for collective talks and transparency to seek the truth. Interestingly, the ascendant for the invasion falls in Capricorn, which is in the house of close partnerships for Volodymyr. So what this suggests is hard work and tough negotiating are the way through. And transiting Pluto, our planet of transformation, endings, death, beginnings, is in the house of things that are at a distance, matters far away, long distance. And also it's about truth and liberty. So this shows us that timely intervention by foreign powers is potentially the way forward. But I think we also have to look at Volodymyr and his personal safety. I, for one, am very concerned for his personal safety. I was almost too nervous to look, but I've looked. And of course, one can never predict, in that sense, the outcomes for people. But this is what I picked up from the chart. And what he has is that the dangers that he's facing do show up in the chart. And it's in Scorpio. He's got Uranus, his Uranus opposition. His Uranus, which is the planet of the unexpected, shocks, disruption, is in Scorpio. And it's in opposition to transiting Uranus in Taurus. Now, they're both currently in opposition and conjunct the nodes. So this means the events he's experiencing are karmic and destined, and he has a vital role to play in the direction that humanity can evolve towards. He's going to have to use all his skills and cunning to navigate this situation. He does, however, have an enormous opportunity to transform the attitude of the whole world, and he will gain enormous respect from world leaders and the world. There are things in the chart which are dangerous. I can't pretend there aren't. And I think he has to really look also to who's in his close circle. I think because Uranus is in the house of hidden enemies, he has to be careful whom he places his trust in. So hopefully he has the insight and ability to be able to see through what may be mystifying things at the moment. Because remember, we've got Jupiter conjunct Neptune. Neptune can be deception. It pulls veils and mists over our eyes, and Jupiter expands that. So he needs to just be aware of that. But, and let's end about him on a good note, with Jupiter on his ascendant at birth. Jupiter, the planet of luck, opportunity, abundance. It does give him a certain amount of luck in life. And I think all we can do is hope that his luck lasts long enough to see him through this dark night of the soul. Now, at the end of April, there is a partial solar eclipse in Taurus, and it will be conjunct his Uranus, transiting Uranus, and opposite his natal Uranus. So that will be a kind of a point to be aware of in terms of what is happening to him at that time. A solar eclipse or a partial solar eclipse is the light is trying to get through, but something is hidden. So we have to see what that kind of unfolds out, plays out as. But let's also look about the birth chart for Ukraine, because it's important to just call it Ukraine. So Ukraine's birth chart is the 24th of August, 1991 at 6 p.m. in Kiev. Or Kiev, I believe, is the correct pronunciation. I do apologize if I get the pronunciations wrong. This was around the time when the Soviet Union collapsed. So Ukraine gained its independence in 1991. Now, interestingly, if you think of Volodymyr and this Aquarius energy he has, the Ukraine chart has a lot of Aquarius energy, with not only the ascendant, but the moon in Aquarius too. The country has its natal sun in Virgo. So what does this tell us about the people? Well, the sun in Virgo tells us that collectively they diligently take care of their country. They leave no stone unturned in seeking to make it the best it can be. The Aquarius energy through its ascendant and its moon shows us they are visionaries and aspire to a higher level of human consciousness, and that they are fixed in their determination to protect their country to the last man standing. And because, of course, Volodymyr has his sun in Aquarius, then he could not help but be a symbol for Ukraine, with it linking in with their astrological ascendant. Now, the invasion chart by Russia puts Pluto, the planet of transformation, death, rebirth, on the country's ascendant. And this was only going to be an incredibly challenging time for them. I think it was probably almost kind of, you could say, written in the stars. It was inevitable that something was going to blow. And it indicates, whatever the outcome, the country will be changed irrevocably. Saturn, of course, transiting Saturn, our planet of slowing things down and taking times and restraint, is in the first house. So that's all about the country. So it sees itself as very powerful and strong and a leader. It shows a fixed determination to abide by the law. And Saturn's presence tells us this situation is going to take a long time. Oh, I wish it wasn't. But I can only be honest and tell you what I see in the astrology. Saturn is conjunct the moon in Aquarius. So this tells us that the people will have been and are restricted and held back and stuck. With Sagittarius, however, on the midheaven, conjunct the moon in Sagittarius, this tells us that the truth of the people will prevail. So even though this situation could take a long time, even sadly years, truth wins, and that ultimately the people win. What this all means, we will just have to wait and see. But I really can not emphasize enough that the desire for truth and justice prevails. And excuse me, and I think that goes for the whole world. So a last word is that Ukraine in general needs to weed out the enemies within, because the chart really does suggest there's a real risk of dark dealings within the elite. So what's my long-term prognosis. Well, I think that now both Mars and Venus have moved into Aquarius. Now, Mars is our god of war. And this was what was bringing up all the talks of very scary things last week to do with nuclear reactors, and I'm not even going to go there. But Mars and Venus are goddess of love. Thank God Venus was there, because Venus was kind of soothing the way. She was kind of going, there, let's just hold back a bit. They've both moved hand in hand into Aquarius and away from this difficult conjunction they had with Pluto in Capricorn. That was when things were really looking like it was going to hit the fan, because plutonium, what else can I say? But I do feel that now Mars and Venus have moved into Aquarius, we have stepped back from that nuclear threat, at least for now. So with Aquarius as such a dominant energy in this situation, and the links Aquarius has to the internet, then I think we can expect various cyber attacks everywhere, the usual spate of misinformation, and it really is difficult. You know, being so aware that one has to filter out what we're told, it's very difficult to know whether the source you get your news from is the truth. And I think that's going to be a very big part of this as people search for their truth. And I think if it sits well in here, if it resonates in here, then that's your truth. So I think banking is going to be hit hard, currencies, stock markets. As we record today, I'm recording this on Monday, 7th of March. The FTSE in London is down about 2 points. It's extraordinary times, and that is going to have a ripple effect on everything. And there is no one in the world, sadly, who is not going to be affected by the unfolding events in Eastern Europe. But with, I think, the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in April, which I'll be talking more about in my April astrology, which I'm about to start recording, the spiritual outpourings of love and peace are going to have a tremendous healing energy, as I really do feel the world, or at least a vast majority of the world, come together as one, fighting for truth, freedom, justice. And I do feel Zelenskyy is our Jupiter-Neptune guy who becomes that symbol of hope for the entire planet. Thank you so much for joining me, and if you've made it this far, if you've made it this far, thank you so much. I appreciate. And if you'd like to subscribe, I would truly love that. Please like, comment. I'm trying to grow this channel. I'm trying to grow this community, and it's just lovely to have you around. And I just want to share the knowledge that I've acquired over the years and hopefully make my little difference, in even if it's only in a small way. So thank you again for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.